The year is 2019, in the city of Kianjiep. Inside a pulsating bar, he's surrounded by gorgeous women who wouldn't let go. A fawning sycophant stepped up to offer a drink. President Tran, a true young prodigy. Ha Thang coldly tapped his glass against the other man's. "I'm not here to listen to empty flattery," the man stammered nervously. "You're absolutely right, President Tran. I'll drink to my mistake." "Boss Tran, since you came in person, everything is, of course, settled." Watching them all grovel, Ha Thang felt a wave of boredom. He wasn't sure when it started, but he had completely lost his own name. He was President Tran, Boss Tran, never Tran Ha Thang. His gut was filled with liquor, and everyone around him wore a fake mask. Just then, a seductive figure in a red dress glided closer, her eyes locked onto her prey. "President Tran, might I have the honor of getting to know you?" She cooed, caressing her hair, her voice as sweet as honey. With her words, a business card was presented to Ha Thang, her intentions going far beyond simple conversation. The party began to fade out. As Ha Thang stood to leave, the girl in red reappeared. "President Tran, you've had too much. Let me take you home." He just shook his head, his voice devoid of warmth. "No need, I can drive myself." Out in the silent parking lot, his gaze landed on a tiny creature trembling beneath a car. If I hadn't looked, this kitten would have been crushed by the merciless tires. Ha Thang bent down, gently lifting it. "You're lucky. Go back to your mother." The kitten let out a few soft meows before scurrying toward the waiting mother cat. That single moment touched something deep inside him. How long had it been since he visited his own parents? The thought galvanized him, and he decided to drive home at once, coldly tossing away the women's business cards. He blasted electrifying dance music at full volume, letting the frenzied rhythm wash away his chaotic thoughts. But lost in the sound, he completely let his guard down. A deafening crash erupted, and a blinding light tore through the night. For a moment, he thought he'd crossed over to the other side. Yet when he opened his eyes, a totally alien scene lay before him. A sharp-looking girl was frowning down at him. "Tran Ha Thang, how could you be smoking?" Tran Ha Thang froze on the spot, his mind a whirlwind of confusion. The people nearby shot him strange looks. A few even burst into mocking laughter. His confession got rejected last night, and now he's faking amnesia? Panicked, he glanced at a nearby mirror. The reflection was not the Tran Ha Thang he knew. A wild thought struck him. Have I been transmigrated? A young man stepped before him, his voice serious. "Ha Thang, this isn't like you. Smoking isn't your style. I hope you can move past this heartbreak and find a brighter tomorrow." The man's earnest demeanor only confused Ha Thang more. He asked coldly, "And who are you to lecture me?" The boy was stunned by the question, but quickly composed himself, just sighing and shaking his head. "All right, fine, never mind." At that moment, a beautiful girl standing nearby spoke up, her voice tinged with reproach. "If you're going to pretend you don't know me, I can't help you. But I was very clear last night. We can't be friends before we graduate. If you smoke again, I will go and tell Auntie Luong." Hearing this, Ha Thang grew even more disoriented, his mind in a total mess. "What? How does she even know my mother?" The girl gently offered him a bottle of water. "Go wash your face. We still have to pick up our acceptance letters later." Ha Thang stared at the bottle, his heart full of suspicion. "Acceptance letters? What in the world is going on?" Tran Ha Thang shook his head coldly. "Thanks, but I don't need it." The nosy friend standing nearby immediately cut in. "Playing the same old trick? You fail your confession, so you turn into the cold, aloof guy? Aren't you tired of playing hard to get?" The girl who offered the water said no more, simply placing it beside him before turning to walk away. Ha Thang watched her familiar back retreat, an indescribable feeling rising in his chest. This girl, she seemed to be the very person he had secretly admired all through high school. He muttered to himself, "Did I confess to her last night?" Beside him, the loudmouthed friend still wouldn't let it go. "Don't put on an act in front of me. Pretending you don't know her is useless." Ha Thang frowned slightly, turning to ask, "Who are you?" The other guy instantly flared up, grabbing him by the collar and growling, "You don't even recognize your own best brother? I smoked with you all night, helping you through your sorrow, and now you fake amnesia? I'm Wang Zibo. Stop confessing to people when you're drunk. You drank until you completely passed out, didn't you? Don't forget we have to go get our acceptance letters soon." "An acceptance letter?" he mumbled to himself. Could it be that it's now the year 2002? Model? At that moment, a familiar voice called out, "Chen Hansheng, congratulations on graduating. Here is your acceptance letter." He glanced up, seeing a middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair. It was Teacher Z, his homeroom teacher from 12th grade. The teacher looked at him, shaking his head with regret. I thought you would get into a top university, but you settled for a second-tier school. But congratulations all the same. Han Sheng was stunned as memories began to surface with vivid clarity. Teacher Z, the man he had always respected, had succumbed to lung cancer that year in his past life. When his teacher passed, he was studying abroad, only able to send money. So, he had truly returned to the past. Just then, his gaze fell on a pack of cigarettes. Without hesitation, Han Sheng picked it up and said seriously, Teacher Z, you should smoke less from now on. Teacher Z stared in surprise. My student is suddenly so concerned about my health today. Han Sheng's voice lowered. 12th grade is stressful enough. How can your body possibly handle smoking on top of that? Teacher Z chuckled, clapping his shoulder. All right, I'll cut back. But as he reached for the pack, Han Sheng swiftly snatched it away. No way, talk is cheap. I'll just confiscate these for you. The friends around them erupted in laughter, and the atmosphere relaxed. At this time, his old friends began arriving one by one for their letters. The loudmouth, Wang Zibo, saw another classmate with a letter and immediately began to tease. A guy like that is going to college? He's dragging down the average for all students. A small girl nearby couldn't help but interject. Are you any better? You used to brawl with gangsters outside of school. Han Sheng just smiled at his old classmates, a wave of nostalgia washing over him. He casually grabbed his acceptance letter and approached Rong Yu. The girl he secretly liked spoke first. Hey, pretty girl, which school are you going to? Rong Yu seemed a bit surprised. She hesitated a moment before answering, Donghai University. Han Sheng smirked. What a coincidence. I'm at the Institute of Finance and Economics just across the street. Looks like we're going to be neighbors. After speaking, he glanced around and asked, What time is it? Rong Yu instinctively lifted her hand to check her watch. 5:20. Han Sheng glanced over, then suddenly took her hand, leaning in to see the watch more clearly. Nice watch. Did you get it over the summer? Her hand suddenly captured. Rong Yu blushed and quickly pulled away, but then she realized something was off. 5:20. You waited to ask at that exact time to confess, didn't you? In Chinese, 5:20 sounds just like I love you. The loudmouth Wang Zibo also realized it instantly. He jumped in front of Rong Yu, roaring, You damn bastard, Chen Han Sheng. Your confession failed last night, so you're resorting to getting physical today? Amid the passing crowd, Chen Han Sheng kept a calm expression, as if nothing in the world could faze him. That loudmouth always loved making a big deal out of nothing. Han Sheng paid him no mind and quietly walked away. Walking down the road leading from the school, an indescribable feeling rose in Han Sheng's heart. He sighed, knowing everyone in this life craves freedom. A life without ties, a heart without burdens. It was just a shame he returned to the past, right at his graduation. At that thought, he suddenly laughed. But it's fine. At least I'm done with school. In any case, what made him happiest was finally being able to return home. For so many years, his work had kept him from visiting family. But now that he had this chance, he would definitely make the most of it. Yet, as he was walking with a light heart, a familiar voice suddenly called out, Chen Han Sheng, Wang Zibo. Han Sheng stopped, turned around, and sighed helplessly. Why is it them again? It was the same group of old friends from that afternoon. It was as if they were the real-life version of Friends Forever. Before he could react, Rong Yu stepped forward, holding out a yearbook. You two are the only ones who haven't written in my book yet. Go on, leave a message, something for me to remember. Han Sheng looked at the book as nostalgia welled inside him, but before he could take the pen, the loudmouth shot him a glare. Chen Han Sheng, write something decent. Don't just mess around. And where are your eyes wandering? Rong Yu, hands on her hips, chimed in, If you dare look around again, I'll gouge your eyes out. Han Sheng just laughed, took the book, and casually flipped through a few pages. It was full of serious well wishes from friends, aside from a love poem copied from Whitebird by a guy named Gao Liang, who had blatantly plagiarized it. Rong Yu shyly handed him the pen. She urged, Stop flipping through it, find an empty spot and write. Wang Zibo wrote first, but since he couldn't think of anything special, he simply wrote, I wish Rong Yu becomes more beautiful and is always happy. Han Sheng glanced at it. He frowned slightly. How bland. He thought for a moment, then slowly began to write, You live a very good life, like a loach in a pond, ugly, but knows how to have fun. The toad is crude, but interesting. The snail is a gentle eccentric, and the little herring is everyone's goddess. Signed, Chen Han Sheng. After writing, he set the pen down. The loudmouth read it, his eyes wide. What the hell is this supposed to be? Are you writing for a first grader? Yet, the girl beside him frowned, lost in thought, then nodded slowly. At first, it seemed plain, but a second read revealed a surprising charm. A blush crept up Dong Nu's cheeks as she asked awkwardly, "Are you saying I'm your goddess?" It's not a bad thing to know, right? Consider it my thanks for that charming poem. So, for now, I won't mention the smoking to Aunt Luong, but don't let it happen again. All right, it's getting dark. We should head home. Wang Zibo immediately whined in protest. What? You're making me write this without any preparation. Han Thang smirked playfully. What's the point of writing better? You trying to chase after Dong Nungu? At that, Wang Zibo instantly shot to his feet. You're ridiculous. That's not it at all. He then turned to his best friend. All right, enough nonsense. Let's hit the square another day. I'll treat you to that new pat sandwich place. His friend looked puzzled and asked, Why not just go tonight? He just smiled and shook his head. Can't tonight. I have to have dinner with my parents. Watching his best friend walk away, the other guy was left completely stunned. Didn't he always complain about how annoying his parents were? On the way home, Han Thang was flooded with countless memories, from childhood to adulthood. The images washed over him, stirring a deep nostalgia in his heart. Soon, he was standing at his front door, unable to wait another second. He cupped his hands and shouted, Mom, open up! Your son is home! The moment the door opened, his mother frowned with a scolding tone. What are you shouting for? The entire building can hear you. You're a grown man. Can't you even remember to bring your keys? Seeing his mom, Han Thang instantly grinned, trying to sweet-talk her. It's just been so long since I've gotten to call for you. I couldn't help it. His mother shot him a glare, pursing her lips at his cheeky excuse. The moment he was inside, he rushed to turn on the air conditioner, sighing, Why is it so hot? Why didn't you turn this on? He then glanced around. Where's Dad? His mother eyed him coolly, replying nonchalantly, The first thing you do is turn on the AC. Your father isn't even home from work yet. She then pushed a plate of watermelon toward him. Go take a shower after you finish this. You stink like a stray dog. Hearing that, Han Thang could only chuckle as he picked up a slice of watermelon. Just then, his eyes landed on a university acceptance letter lying on the table. Looking at the letter, his mother beamed with pride. The Chen family finally has a university student. In 4 more years, your father and I can relax. Then we can look after our grandkids. What more could we ask for in this life? Hearing this, Han Thang suddenly froze. If she knew he was still single at 35, she would probably beat him black and blue. Suddenly, his mother picked up a pack of cigarettes, her voice rising. Chen Han, you've got some nerve. You've been smoking behind my back, haven't you? Han Thang calmly replied, It wasn't me, Mom. My teacher put it in my bag. He said it was a reward for doing well on my exams. His mother slammed the pack of cigarettes onto the table in a rage. Since when do homeroom teachers give their students cigarettes as a reward? She turned to his father, complaining, Chen Zhaojun, are you even going to do anything about your son? His father calmly said, He can think about smoking after he's in university. It's too early now. For the time being, I'll hold on to this pack. His mother glared at his father before lowering her voice. You need to cut back too. Now go wash your hands for dinner. The next morning, Han Thang woke up, realizing he was still trapped in this past. While brushing his teeth, he saw his mother walk by and started whining. Mom, I'm hungry. But his mother paid him no mind, simply waving her hand. If you're hungry, go buy yourself some breakfast. I'm going back to sleep. Defeated, Han Thang had to go out and find food himself. Arriving at a street stall, he asked, How much for an egg pancake? 1.5 yuan. Hearing the unexpectedly low price, Han Thang couldn't help but marvel. That's so cheap. I'll take 2. He fumbled in his pockets for money, only to have a dreadful realization. In the year 2002, there were no mobile payments, and his mom hadn't given him much cash. It seemed that even if he wore 10 pairs of pants today, he wouldn't have enough money for breakfast. The stall owner saw him digging around without paying and asked, Are you buying or not? Han Thang quickly waved his hands. No, I'm not buying anymore. I just remembered my grandma has an emergency. With that, he turned and left, muttering to himself, This world is so inconvenient without digital payments. While wandering down the street, Han Thang suddenly spotted Dong Ngu out for a jog. The tracksuit she was wearing looked incredibly good on her. Unable to resist, he called out in a loud voice, Dong Gung. The girl turned around, her eyes widening in surprise when she saw Han Thang. Why are you up so early today? Seeing her slightly suspicious expression, Han Thang didn't even get a chance to reply before she continued. I understand your feelings, but I really don't want to date during university. What the hell? I haven't even said anything. Dung Nung-gu continued matter-of-factly. Yesterday, you pretended not to know me. Was that just to get my attention? You don't have to do things like that. Right now, I just want to focus on my studies. We can think about dating after graduation. Hearing this, Han Thang was left completely speechless. This girl was seriously overthinking things. He suddenly recalled something from the past. Dung Nu's rule about dating was always consistent. In middle school, she said no. In high school, she said no. And now she claimed she'd wait until college was over. But even now in college, her stance remained unchanged. Seeing Han Thang stand there silently, Dung Gu narrowed her eyes. What? Did I hit the mark? Deciding not to be cornered, Han Thang nodded eagerly. Yes, you're incredibly smart. So, how about this? I'll treat you to breakfast. We can talk while we eat. Hearing this, Dung Gu replied shyly, Actually, I should be the one treating you. You always took care of me during school. This feels a bit awkward. But alright, let's go with your plan. Han Thang naturally agreed immediately. He suggested excitedly, There's a great dumpling place in front of the police station, perfect with soy milk. His mouth watered just thinking about it. The two of them headed to the restaurant together. Because the shop was right by the station, many police officers were customers. As they entered, the owner greeted them cheerfully. Little you, here for breakfast? Dung Nu answered politely. Yes, good morning, Uncle Zhang. Just then, Uncle Zhang glanced at Han Thang and chuckled. You're young, so you don't get it, but too much fried food is bad for your health. But Han Thang didn't seem to mind, replying happily as he ate. Don't worry, Uncle. My physique will be perfect, at least until I'm 35. Hearing this, Dung Nu glanced at him teasingly. Why so confident? You've even planned up to 35 years old? It's as if you know the future. Han Thang just chuckled. That's because I do. A few days ago, a fortune teller said I'm destined for wealth, but my fate is missing a good wife. Dung Nu smirked. You and your nonsense. You weren't like this before. Men really do change in the blink of an eye. Han Thang picked up a dumpling, smiling. Coincidentally, that fortune teller taught me a few things. He said, a person's palm lines are like their destiny. Each one is unique. The folds of a dumpling are the same. No two are ever alike. For example, the ones the owner makes have flat creases, while the ones his wife makes are raised. Of course, Dung Nungu didn't believe him. Han Thang smirked and continued, If you don't believe me, just take a look. The young woman shook her head, finding it all absurd. To think someone would believe such a thing. But Han Thang wasn't finished. There's more. Your career line, your love line. They all reveal your destiny. Let me give you a free reading, as thanks for this meal. Dung Ne hesitated, reluctant to offer her hand. Han Thang smiled reassuringly. Don't worry. Just open your palm in front of me. I won't touch it. In the end, Dung Nungu decided to trust him one more time. Han Thang studied her palm intently, analyzing it slowly. Palmistry relies on three main lines. The heaven line for love, the human line for knowledge, and the earth line for life. Your lifeline is long and deep, showing you're healthy and will face few major hardships. You're young, beautiful, vibrant, intelligent, and quick-witted. However, your love line is quite winding. This means finding an ideal husband won't be easy. It's best to stay away from the pests who linger around you. Suddenly, his expression turned serious, a mischievous glint in his eye. Wait, that's not right. Your ideal man is standing right in front of you. So it was all just an elaborate pickup line. A faint blush crept up Dung Nu's cheeks as she snatched her hand back, giving him an embarrassed glare. I knew you were just joking around. Han Thang burst out laughing. Haha, thanks for the hearty meal. We should get going now. That lady over there is looking at me like she wants to eat me alive. He pointed towards Dung Nungu and said loudly, Wait a moment. My girlfriend will pay for everything. Just then, a police officer walked in. Han Thang felt like he looked familiar. Looking closer, he saw it was the lady from before, whispering something to the officer. He suddenly felt a barrage of judgmental glares directed his way. This isn't good. Han Thang waved a hasty goodbye and quickly left. Little Xiao, I'm heading home first. Something came up. On the way to school, Han Thang and Tu Bok got on the bus. As soon as they boarded, Tu Bok said curiously, I hear the girls in college are way prettier than in high school. Han Thang calmly replied, In college, you're exposed to a wider world. Your disposition naturally changes. Tran cut in. Is college easier than high school? Less pressure? College encourages self-study, while high school is all about the entrance exams. They're completely different. Tran grimaced. Luong Tubok said, Damn it, we're not even on the highway yet. Can you shut it? Just then, Tubok exclaimed, Hey, it's Xiao Dongnu! Han Thang's head immediately whipped around. Seeing this, Tu Vuong yelled angrily, You damn dog. The moment her name is mentioned, your eyes light up like truck headlights. Han Thang grew quiet, telling himself it was best not to greet her right now. I was almost caught by 3 girls yesterday. It was so embarrassing. But it looks like their car has broken down. The bus driver nearby spoke up. Captain Zhao, what's the matter? Captain Zhao replied with a frown. The car's broken down. I was taking my daughter to school when this happened. In that case, just let your daughter get on my bus. We're all heading to Jianye University anyway. Suddenly, a suave young man in dark glasses stepped out of the car. He approached with a polite smile. Officer Zhao, Zhao Yu and I were classmates. I'm also attending Jianye Aerospace University, so why not let her ride with me? I guarantee she'll be safe. I'll make sure she arrives safely. Besides, the bus is crowded and stuffy. Han Sheng, listening nearby, thought to himself. Officer Zhao is an upright cop. He wouldn't pull strings for a rich kid. But just then, Zhao Yu's father seemed to hesitate. He muttered, If she takes the bus, my daughter might feel left out. But that's the young master of the cow family. He seems like trouble. Did I wake up on the wrong side of the bed today? After a moment's thought, he asked his daughter, Do you want the bus, or a ride with young Master Cow? Xiao Yu glanced at Han Sheng on the bus, then replied firmly, I'm taking the bus. Hearing this, Han Sheng told his friend beside him, There are no other empty seats. You'll have to sit up front. Shubo stared blankly, whining, Up there? I'll be roasted like a pig. Han Sheng laughed. When Xiao Yu gets on, she's sitting here. Shubo grumbled. You jerk, why don't you go sit there? But Han Sheng dodged his gaze with a slight smile. I get sunstroke. Sitting there would make me see rainbows. What a damn scumbag, Shubo cursed inwardly. Just then, Xiao Yu boarded the bus and walked towards them. Seeing her, Shubo reluctantly gave up his seat, silently fuming. You ruthless bastard. Xiao Yu's father looked up and said, Little Chen, please take good care of my daughter on the way. Han Sheng beamed. Don't worry, Officer Xiao. I'll take great care of our Xiao Yu. Meanwhile, Shubo was crying silently up front, where it was hot and sunny. Han Sheng turned to the attendant. Miss, could you lower the sunshade for the chubby guy up front? The attendant smiled and replied, I know. Han Sheng turned to Xiao Yu, sighing. I woke up too early. I'm gonna pass out. But she, being a typical girl, just pouted and turned away. She thought, is he avoiding talking to me? Trying to ignore me? But unexpectedly, in that instant, Han Sheng tilted his head and leaned right onto her shoulder to sleep. Xiao Yu fumed. You absolute jerk. Outside, Captain Xiao had a strange feeling. His eyelid twitched, a sign of bad luck. My goodness, why is my eye twitching? On the bus, someone yelled, Wake up! Look, the Yangtze River Bridge! But Han Sheng was only looking at Xiao Yu. Up close, his friend had a special kind of beauty. Noticing his stare, Xiao Yu asked, Aren't you surprised at all? Han Sheng smirked, leaning closer. Surprised about what? It's not like you're amazed either. Xiao Yu blushed and avoided his gaze. Han Sheng calmly explained. I visited Jianye as a tourist before. Not just the Yangtze River Bridge, but the Presidential Palace, Sun Yat-sen's mausoleum, and the Confucius Temple. I've seen them all. Xiao Yu recalled his earlier action, feeling a bit flustered. Shubo got off the bus complaining, Man, university is such a hassle. He was loaded with bags. Xiao Yu asked curiously, Why didn't you bring a quilt or pillow? Han Sheng casually replied, The schools here provide them. It says so in the registration guide. Xiao Yu asked again, What about clothes? Han Sheng shrugged. It's autumn in Jianye after October. I'll just have my mom send them then. Xiao Yu was amazed you could do that. She was still too naive. No wonder he was so relaxed. Han Sheng turned back to instruct Xiao Yu. From here, take a taxi to the train station. Then get on bus number 137. Ride it for 5 stops. And that's your school. Little Bo and I are going to Longevity Lake Park. Contact me later. Seeing Han Sheng just leave, Xiao Yu yelled angrily. Han Sheng, you jerk. You promised my dad you'd take care of me. Startled, Han Sheng looked back at her. He rushed over, saying, Don't cry. There are too many people here. Let's just go. If you make people think there's something between us, how will I ever get a girlfriend? What did you say? You're just going to abandon me? No, no. I'll help you carry your luggage to the station. Xiao Yu was so furious, she grabbed his hand and bit down hard. The crowd immediately cheered. Bite him! Bite him harder! What kind of good student wears sunglasses? You can tell he's a rogue, a total player. A pity for such a pretty girl. Xiao Yu sat there, heartbroken and silent. Seeing her like this, Han Sheng thought, if I'm labeled a scumbag player right here at the bus station, my entire university life is going to be ruined. Dong Nu's thoughts were a whirlwind of confusion. She knew she'd rejected him, so he had every right to find a girlfriend. So why was she burning with so much rage? Seeing this, Tubok said, It's all right. We can skip the park. You guys can head back to school first. We'll meet up another time. And so, only Dong Nu and Han Thang remained. He sighed softly and spoke, Don't just space out. Let's go. Dong Nangu reluctantly wiped her tears and returned with Han Thang. After seeing her to school, he took off his sunglasses, letting out a soft sigh of relief. Phew, one headache dealt with. But before he could enjoy the peace, another one came crashing down. This time, however, it was an incredibly cute problem. A pretty girl with a pink bow offered Han Thang her number, ignoring the jealous glare from Dong Nungu behind them. This is our dorm number. The handsome student can call us any time. Afterwards, Han Thang continued on to his own university. The air here sparked a powerful sense of nostalgia. It had been over 10 years since he'd returned. Suddenly, a girl in a hurry bumped right into him. She stammered shyly, I'm so sorry. Han Thang chuckled. It's fine. No need to apologize. The moment he finished speaking, the girl rushed away. Watching her figure retreat, he felt a flicker of familiarity, but couldn't place her, so he set the thought aside. He focused on the bigger task at hand, registration. Arriving at the registration desk, Han Thang asked, Excuse me, is this for public administration, class 2? A girl in front of him replied with an eager glint in her eyes. My name is Ho Lam Nugu. I'm a new student this year too. I guess we're classmates. Looking at Lam Nugu, memories flooded Han Thang's mind. Wait, isn't this my class president for all 4 years of university? After graduation, she was even selected for a formal government position. While he was lost in his thoughts, Lam Gu continued speaking. This is our advisor, Professor Quach Trung Van. Han Thang recognized his teacher as well. Once the paperwork was done, Lam Gu gave him directions. Your dorm is in room 602, building 3, West Zone. Hearing that, Han Thang mused. Ho Lam Gu was the class president for 4 years? After his rebirth, he decided to try for the role himself. He smiled faintly and murmured, Well then, let's give it a shot. As night fell, he walked to his dorm, noticing all the beautiful girls around campus. Han Thang thought to himself, University girls definitely have a different charm compared to high school girls. No wonder the upperclassmen always want to come back. In this day and age, female university students are a real treasure. But dressed like this, the pretty upperclassmen probably won't even spare me a glance. I'll just have to bear it. Making money is the priority. He stopped before a job board on the wall, his eyes scanning the various recruitment ads. He figured he would definitely have to rely on these kinds of jobs to make money in the future. Arriving at dorm room 602, a familiar feeling washed over him as his hand touched the door. As he stepped inside, a young man in a yellow shirt called out, Han Thang, right? You finally made it. We've all been waiting for you. Everyone introduced themselves one by one. I'm the Siu, from Dap Lu Bak, Quach Tiu Quang, from Dongtu Town. I'm Tran Hu from Beijing. Lai Qin Nam from Guangdong. Kim Duong Min, a Kin Yep local. If you need anything, just ask me. I can handle it. Duong Min then held up his phone, which immediately caught Qin Nam's attention. Whoa, is that the newest Motorola model? Qin Nam's eyes widened in surprise. Duong Min puffed his chest out with pride. You've got a good eye. This is the latest flip model. It costs 7,000 yuan. Han Thang quietly set his luggage down as the others continued to chatter about the phone. The Siu spoke up. All right, I already checked. I'm the oldest in this room. Thieu Quang is a few months younger, and Tran Hu is the youngest. I suggest we address each other by seniority. Lao Duong is the eldest, Thieu Quang is second. The Sioux then took out some cigarettes to offer everyone. Han Thang and Thieu Quang both took one. While Qin Nam and Duong Min refused, Tran Hu, the youngest, accepted one. The Sioux frowned and snapped. We're all university students. What's the big deal with 1 or 2 cigarettes? Thieu Quang laughed. There are already 4 smokers in here. If you two don't smoke, you'll just have to breathe our second-hand smoke. Your call. Duong Min pouted. These are too cheap. A first-timer should try Zhonghua or Shou Ren. They're smooth and fragrant. The Sioux sighed. This is all they have back in my hometown. I've never had the expensive kind before. Han Thang laughed to himself. Asterisk. Damn, students are adorable, arguing so seriously over something so small. Asterisk. He stood up and began cleaning his bed and the common area. Seeing him, Tran Hu asked with curiosity, Brother Tran, what are you doing? Han Thang replied, We'll be living here for 4 years. A little cleaning will make the place more comfortable. Hearing this, the others eagerly pitched in. The entire room cleaned and chatted excitedly about the future, and the exhaustion Han Thang felt from his rebirth slowly began to fade away. The next morning, Duong Min's ringing phone jolted Han Thang from his sleep, much to his annoyance. Kwai Nam reminded him, Brother Chen, we have class today, and we have to wear our uniforms. At that, Han Thang was instantly awake. He shot up, asking excitedly, So, what do the girls in our class look like? Soon after, they arrived at class dressed in their training uniforms. Scanning the room, Thieu Quang frowned. Is this year's batch the worst in the entire finance academy? The Sioux nodded. I saw some upperclassmen yesterday. So beautiful I couldn't stop drooling. Han Thang ignored his friends, confidently striding over to a group of female students. He glanced back at them and said, I'm going to break the ice. Anyone want to join? But none of the shy guys dared to step forward. One of them whispered, Are they actually pretty? We can't tell until they're out of those uniforms. Ignoring their chatter, Han Thang confidently approached the girls. There, he happened to run into Ho Lam Nu again. Lam Gu smiled at him and announced, Everyone, look. Our class has 27 guys, but only handsome Chen here dared to approach. Han Thang chuckled, introducing himself. Hello everyone, I'm Chen Han Thang, from Kangthan City. Is any other girl from my hometown? Instantly, a girl raised her hand. Ah, I'm from there too. From afar, the Sioux and Thieu Quang watched with a mix of admiration and envy. The Sioux sighed. Don't girls always love a bad boy? It's a shame good guys like us never get a chance. Thieu Quang added, This Chen Han Thang is definitely a master player. They both joked, unaware that Han Thang would still be single at 35. As the atmosphere lightened, Lam Nu turned to Han Thang with a serious tone. Han Thang, freshman year is very busy. I hope you can help manage the boys in our class and assist Teacher Quach with class affairs. But Han Thang's mind wasn't on her words at all. His gaze drifted past Lam Nu, landing on the girl beside her, the same one he had bumped into not long ago. He blurted out to Lam Nu, Is this girl in our class as well? Lam Gu nodded, as if just remembering. Oh, I almost forgot. This is Shen Ao. So, my roommate. While Lam Gu was cheerfully introducing her, Also grew timid, quietly backing away before turning to leave like a little ghost. Watching her lonely figure retreat, Lam Gu quietly explained to Han Thang, Han Thang, please don't mind her. I saw in the student files yesterday that Shen Ah So lost both her parents and is on a student loan. That's probably why she's a bit insecure. Han Thang watched Oso's fragile form until she vanished, an indescribable feeling rising within him. Memories of this girl suddenly flooded his mind. In college, Shen Ao So was always quiet, working and studying, almost invisible to everyone. But Han Thang remembered it perfectly. His memory was never wrong. She was the one he had bumped into that day. At their graduation, wanting just one beautiful memory, Shen Ao So had borrowed a dress to wear. No one expected that in that dress, she would shine so brightly, her pure beauty stunning the entire finance academy. What's more, she possessed an enviable figure with a full 136D bust. Unfortunately, after graduation, they had lost all contact. But this time, Han Thang swore to himself he wouldn't let this precious gem be buried by the dust of life. Just then, the teacher on the podium adjusted his glasses. Let's begin the class meeting. Everyone, come up and introduce yourselves one by one. The first girl went up, offering a charming smile. Hello everyone. My name is Thuong Nien Nien, and I'm from. Before she could finish, whispers erupted from the class. Thieu Quang gave his professional opinion. This one is pretty. 8.8 to 5 points. The Sioux shook his head in disagreement. I'd only give her an 8.6. Hearing this, Han Thang frowned, annoyed by his friend's behavior. The next person to step up was Shen Aoso. She kept her head down, her long hair hiding her face, her voice a timid whisper. I'm Shen Aoso, from Suyendu. Thank you, everyone. Thieu Kwang resumed his role as a judge. Can't see her face. I'll give her 2.5 points, purely out of pity. The Sioux nodded in agreement. I'll rate her slightly higher. 4 points. She's quite tall, and her hair looks soft, so that deserves some credit. Han Thang calculated silently. After receiving their military uniforms, the next step would be electing the class president. Since everyone was new, the official class president and 2 finance managers would be chosen a week later. As soon as class ended, the Sioux slung an arm around Han Thang, laughing. Old Fourth, you absolutely have to run for president. You have to protect us if anything happens later, Thieu Kwang chimed in. That's right. If you're president, you have to help us with attendance, skipping class, and grades. The 3 of them laughed joyfully, unaware of what was to come. But their entire conversation drifted back to Lin Yu, who was walking just behind. A frown creased her brow as anger simmered within her. So this is what they mean by knowing a face but not a heart. If a challenge was coming, she would be ready to meet it. Back in the dorm, Lin Yu turned to Shen Yu Chu with a grave expression. Yu Chu, I'm telling you, boys with silver tongues are nothing but liars. You must remember that. Yu Chu gave no reply, merely staring blankly at her friend. The official military training had begun. The drill instructor stood on the field, his voice sharp as a blade. You are soldiers now, and you will obey every command. I will not tolerate a single breach of discipline. Abruptly, his tone hardened, his piercing gaze landing on a male student with long hair. You there. Your hair is too long and violates regulations. Cut it immediately. The one he called out was Cheng Long. The boy scowled, his voice thick with defiance. On what grounds? Why single me out when you ignore the others? The instructor wasted no more words, directly pulling out a pair of scissors, preparing to act on the spot. This sight sent a wave of panic through the female students, who began whispering amongst themselves. I don't want to cut it. I worked so hard to grow my hair this summer. A girl tugged on Lin Yu's sleeve anxiously. Lin Yu, can you go talk to Instructor Guo? Maybe we don't have to? Meanwhile, from a distance, Han Sheng had overheard the entire exchange. He chuckled softly, running to the teacher for every little problem. Hu Lin Yu, you're still so naive. Allow me to show you how a true class president handles things. He strode forward decisively, his voice cutting through the tension. Instructor, what exactly are you doing? The instructor turned, his gaze sharp. And who are you? Han Sheng calmly replied. I am Chen Han Sheng, from Public Administration, Class 2. I have a proposal. Before this conversation continues, could you perhaps put the scissors down first? We wouldn't want anyone to get hurt. The instructor's eyes narrowed, his voice booming with authority. Put them down? Why? Long hair is forbidden in training. I have to shave his head clean. Cheng Long lost his temper, shouting, Like hell, I'm cutting it. What can you do to me? The atmosphere was stretched to its breaking point. Han Sheng's voice remained calm, but his eyes grew sharp. Have you all caused enough of a scene? First, instructor. Our university invited you here to train our bodies and minds. That is your duty. But if your commanding officer saw you threatening a student with scissors, what do you suppose his evaluation would be? Hearing this, the instructor faltered, slowly putting the scissors away. Han Sheng pressed his advantage. You say long hair is not allowed, but is there any written regulation stating trainees must have a buzz cut? If there is such a document, I will be the first to comply. The drill instructor fell silent, deep in thought. Seeing his opponent waver, Han Sheng immediately targeted the weak point. Look, if we tie our hair up neatly, it won't affect the aesthetics or the unity of the formation. What do you think? The instructor sighed, finally nodding in concession. Fine. I'll let it go this time, but be mindful in the future. The tense atmosphere finally began to cool. Han Sheng turned to Cheng Long and said sternly, Go, apologize to the instructor. Let's end this now. Cheng Long remained defiant, crossing his arms. Why should I apologize? I didn't start this. Han Sheng frowned, his voice dropping low. Fine, but if the instructor makes training hell for us later, how do you think the entire class will feel? How will everyone look at you then? Do you want to live in peace? Finally, under the pressure, Cheng Long agreed to his words. I'm sorry. After the instructor called the class to fall in, Class 2 of the Public Finance Management program had all assembled. Once the ranks were perfectly aligned, Ran couldn't hide her admiration, whispering softly, "That Tran Han Thang is really something. All the girls in class owe him one." Her friend shot her a knowing smile. "From the look in your eyes, don't tell me it's love at first sight? Stop it, don't be ridiculous." Just then, the instructor bellowed, "Tran Han Thang, wait! You dared to smoke during training, violating school rules. Your punishment is 10 laps around the field." Han Thang was stunned, feeling as though he'd just shot himself in the foot. He couldn't help but grumble internally. This instructor is so petty. Doesn't he get tired of living like this? Just then, he saw Yang Shichao smirking, and an idea struck Han Thang. "Instructor, I report that Yang Shichao was also smoking. Can he take 5 of my laps?" The instructor replied sternly, "No. You will both run 10 laps." And so, the two friends began their run. Yang Shichao was filled with indignation, while Han Thang tried to console him. "Running alone would be so boring. I just brought you along to make it fun." Heh. After they finished, Yang Bing ran over, his eyes shining with admiration. "Brother Chen, the way you debated with the instructor was so cool." Han Thang, still panting, replied, "Cool? What's cool about it? That idiot Zhu Chenglong was too stubborn to just bend, and it cost me 10 laps. Tonight's dinner is my treat. From now on, I'm one of Class President Chen's followers." The words class president sparked something in Lin Yu. With a subtle smile, she immediately invited the other girls for ice cream. "You've all worked so hard during training. This is my treat." "Thanks, Hua. Thank you so much." The girls happily accepted. But the moment Lin Yu left, the gossip started. "Did you guys see that? Lin Yu is seriously aiming for a position. She's trying to buy everyone's favor with treats. No wonder they say university is just a miniature society." Another girl chimed in, "Actually, I think Tran Han Thang isn't a bad choice either. He looked so impressive arguing with the drill instructor." But her friend disagreed. "A guy being class president is often inconvenient. There are some things you just can't discuss openly. He can't just run to the girls' dorm every time there's a problem." It seemed getting the girls' votes would be tough. Han Thang overheard their conversation, his mind racing. Right then, he decided it was time to unleash his ultimate move to secure the class president spot. On the training grounds, Teacher Guo spoke with the instructor. "If the kids mess up again, just tell me. I'll handle them." The instructor nodded. All right, I get it. Sorry to bother you. I'll treat you to dinner tomorrow." Before Teacher Guo could even reply, a voice cut in. "Sir, how about we make a deal?" Teacher Guo turned to see Han Thang standing there. He raised an eyebrow. "Did you resolve that conflict?" "Yes, sir. It's all settled now." Teacher Guo nodded with satisfaction. "Good. Starting university is a big adjustment. They need someone to guide them." Just then, Teacher Guo's phone rang, interrupting them. "Hello? There's a department head meeting at school tonight that I have to attend. Can't you get out of it? You can't help me pick up our daughter?" On the other end, an irritated voice shot back. "I can't go. Are you getting her or not? If not, don't even bother coming home. If anything happens to our daughter, I'll hold you responsible." Hearing this, Han Thang saw his chance and spoke up. "Sir, how about I go pick up your daughter for you?" "Absolutely not. You still have training." Han Thang pressed on, using every reason he could think of. Finally, Teacher Guo relented. "Gulo Kindergarten, do you know where that is?" Han Thang quickly replied. "From school, take bus 737, then transfer to Route 33. There's a great duck blood noodle shop nearby." Teacher Guo raised an eyebrow. "Do you have relatives over there?" "Heh, you guessed it, sir." Han Thang grinned slyly. Teacher Guo thought for a moment. "All right, when you get there, contact her teacher and give them your student ID number. If it matches, they'll release her to you. That way, no one can impersonate you." Han Thang took the phone from Teacher Guo, promising to complete the mission. He glanced at the girls nearby, thinking to himself, official accomplishments are meaningless without a personal touch. At Gulo Elementary, someone called out to Han Thang. It was a preschool teacher. She looked at him suspiciously. "You're here for Jia Hui? Where is her father?" Han Thang smiled and explained. "He asked me to pick her up." The teacher remained vigilant. "Wait a moment. I'm going to call and confirm." With that, she picked up the phone. "Mr. Guo? This is Teacher Xiaoyu. Did you ask someone else to pick up Jia Hui?" The voice on the other end confirmed, and Teacher Xiaoyu continued. "Okay, I'll have him recite the student ID number. She turned to Han Sheng. Jiahui's father wants you to state your ID. 0209-025-4813. The teacher nodded, confirming it with Mr. Guo over the phone. After getting the confirmation, she hung up, her entire demeanor softening into a friendly smile. I'm so sorry about that. I misunderstood you. Han Sheng smiled back. It's no problem at all. It's always better to be cautious. The teacher turned to the little girl. Jiahui, this big brother is one of your dad's students. He'll take you home tonight. The girl happily ran into Han Sheng's arms. Goodbye, Teacher Xiaoyu. Afterwards, Han Sheng took Jiahui to a KFC. While she was busy eating, he asked, Can I ask you something? Jiahui nodded while chewing. Do you happen to know Teacher Xiaoyu's phone number? She shook her head. I don't know. What about her QQ number? The little girl looked confused. What's a QQ? Han Sheng chuckled, suddenly remembering what era he was in. That evening, he brought Jiahui safely home to Teacher Guo. He spoke politely. Sir, I've brought Jiahui back. Teacher Guo's wife smiled. Thank you, little Chen. We made you go so far out of your way. Han Sheng waved his hands. Ma'am, you're too kind. I was just heading out for a walk anyway. Mrs. Guo offered him a bag of fruit. Since you've called me ma'am, you have to take this fruit home. And come over for dinner this weekend if you're free. Teacher Guo added, Take it. I'll walk you to the bus stop. From now on, be a good example in class. Han Sheng happily accepted. Then I won't refuse. Thank you, ma'am. At the bus stop, Han Sheng stood smoking a cigarette, the bag of fruit at his side. Just then, Rong Yu ran up, a hint of a pout in her voice. It's so late. Why'd you call me out? I was about to go to sleep. Then her eyes lit up as she spotted the bag of fruit. This fruit is so fresh. The campus store never has anything like this. Oh, grapes, and even cherries. Where did you get them? Han Thang answered calmly. I bought them at the Yiwu shopping center. Deng Nu was touched. Xiao Chen, did you call me out just to give me fruit? This must have been expensive. You shouldn't do this again. Han Thang smirked, delivering a line that would make any girl's heart flutter. As long as you like it, that's all that matters. As they looked at each other, a young man wearing glasses appeared. He approached, his voice laced with surprise. Xiao Dongnung, I didn't expect to see you here. Deng Nu turned in surprise to greet him. Senior Tang, I heard you're now working at the National Geological Research Institute. Congratulations. Senior Tang smiled humbly. It was just luck. He then glanced at Han Thang, who replied while exhaling a plume of smoke. I study at the university across the street. I was Deng Nung's high school classmate. He then offered a 999 cigarette to the other man. Want one? Senior Tang politely refused, covering his mouth. Thank you, but I don't smoke. He held up a folder. I have to get going. My professor wants me to help draft materials for a major project proposal tomorrow. Deng Yengu's eyes quietly followed the silhouette of the man she had always admired. She said softly, He's a 4th year from our academy. He hasn't even graduated, but the Chinese Academy of Sciences already values him. He once came to our class to find a lab assistant. And then what happened? Han Thang asked, taking a drag from his cigarette. The person he chose was me, Deng Gu replied, the mood suddenly growing heavy. Han Thang gave her a cold look, but Deng Nu continued casually, I haven't accepted yet. Han Thang was at a loss for words, simply smoking in silence. Seeing this, Deng Nu couldn't help but frown. You're smoking so much. You never had this habit before. You need to stop. Think about your future. Her voice was a mixture of anger and deep concern. She continued, What are your plans for the future? Han Thang paused for a moment, then replied, My plans? I want to seriously pursue a girl. Is she very beautiful? Deng Ninggu asked, intrigued. Han Thang smiled gently, his eyes filled with nostalgia. I've never met anyone more beautiful than her. What if she just wants to focus on her studies and turns you down? Han Thang stared at the burning cigarette in his hand and sighed. Then I'll wait for her. I won't give up. And what if her parents don't approve? Deng Ninggu pressed. I don't need their approval. As long as she agrees, that's enough. At that, Deng Gu's heart began to race, her face flushing a deep red. She spun around and fled, unable to face Han Thang. Before she left, she managed to say, Thank you for your kindness, but I need to think this over. Han Thang stood there alone, utterly bewildered. I'm pursuing Shen Yuchu, so why does She Times need to think about it? A week passed since Teacher Guo left, and today was the day of the class president election. Teacher Guo stood before the classroom. In a calm, warm voice, he began. Students, after a week of getting to know each other, I'm sure you understand your classmates better. Therefore, today we will elect a class president. I encourage you all to nominate yourselves. If anyone wishes to serve the class, please step forward and give a speech. Lin Yu desperately coveted the position of class president. Beside Han Thang, Xiao Qiang urged him on. Old Fourth, hurry up. If you're president, our lives will be much better. If some girl becomes our boss, how am I supposed to skip class? Han Thang was still lost in thought and didn't react. Adhering to the principle of ladies first, Lin Yu was the first to step onto the podium. Below, Yu Chu cheered enthusiastically for her best friend. Hello everyone, my name is Hu Lin Yu. I believe we all know each other, since I was the one who helped everyone with registration. I'm an enthusiastic, open, and unified classmate. If I am elected class president, I will definitely use my energy, creativity, and leadership to assist Teacher Guo, helping to build a strong, united, and successful class. Lin Yu's passionate words earned a wave of applause, even from Yu Chu. Teacher Guo nodded with appreciation. Thank you for your excellent speech, Hu Lin Yu. The way you proactively helped everyone during registration left a strong impression on me. Yu Chu turned and smiled. You were great. As the applause died down, Teacher Guo asked, Next, is anyone else willing to come up and speak? At that moment, Yu Chu looked toward the podium, where someone new had just stepped up. It was none other than Han Thang. Her face immediately turned as red as a ripe tomato. Han Thang faced the class with a brilliant smile, and the boys erupted in cheers. Old Fourth, go for it. Brother Chen, you got this. Han Thang motioned for them to quiet down and laughed. Everyone, calm down. I'm not a beautiful girl, so what's all the fuss? The teacher standing beside him also chuckled, feeling the atmosphere had become much more relaxed. Han Thang cleared his throat and began. What I have to say is brief, just a few points. If I become class president, before every exam, I will do everything to coordinate with the professors, ensuring no one in our class fails. Benefits like scholarships and student aid, I will fight to secure them for our entire class. The gap between us and Donghai University is vast. Since our starting point is behind others, we must work that much harder for our future. If we fall behind, we strive to rise. If we're stuck, we must study more. If we don't know, we must connect and learn from each other. To become better, we must forge ourselves with discipline. If you choose me as your president, I guarantee I will help make our college years truly meaningful. If you believe in me, please cast your vote. His words stirred something within the students. The entire classroom fell silent, pondering what Han Thang had just said. Professor Quach nodded in satisfaction, thinking, Asterisk. His strengths are impressive. His leadership and coordination skills are outstanding. Asterisk. The professor then asked, Does anyone else wish to nominate themselves? The election itself felt as tense as a national assembly. The final ballot was opened, and the result was clear. Han Thang had won with 27 votes. His opponent, Lam Nugu, had to swallow the bitter taste of defeat. She bit her lip, refusing to accept it. Asterisk. How could this happen? Asterisk. Ow. So watched her friend, filled with concern. Meanwhile, Han Thang stood and bowed to the class, thanking them for their support. His two roommates grinned from ear to ear, but Lam Nu turned to Ao So, her voice grave. Men are the least trustworthy creatures. I'm saying this again, so you remember it clearly. Men are nothing but traitors. After class, Lam Gu wandered the streets alone, her heart heavy with disappointment. She sighed, murmuring, I wasn't chosen. So what's the point of college now? Just then, a familiar voice called out to her. Lam Nu. She turned to see Han Thang approaching. What do you want? Here to gloat about your victory? She snapped. Han Thang simply shrugged. I'll treat you to dinner tonight. We need to talk for a bit. Hearing this, Lam Nugu raised an eyebrow, a wild idea forming. Did you steal the president position just to ask me on a date? Han Thang was stunned for a moment, then thought wryly, Asterisk. It must be because I'm too handsome. Asterisk. Asterisk. Not just Nig, even Tu Dung is after me. Asterisk. He shook his head with a laugh, explaining, Not at all. I just want to discuss the class president matter. That's it. If you don't believe me, bring Ao So along. The three of us can eat together. In the distance, Ao So appeared, and they both looked her way. Lam Nu crossed her arms, considered it, and finally nodded. All right then. The three went to a restaurant. Ao So was shyly silent, while Lam Nu declared, Asterisk, Also and I are going to eat you broke. Asterisk. She grinned mischievously. Without hesitation, Han Thang pulled out a powerful black card and laughed. Order whatever you want. Lam Gu continued. I heard our new president Tran treated the guys to a late-night snack a few days ago. So, treating us to one meal is nothing, right? Ah, so just stayed quiet, her face blushing bright red. Lam Ju smiled, patting her friend's shoulder. Just relax and stay put. No running away. You hear? Han Thang stared intently at Ao So, his gaze intense enough to devour her. He thought to himself, asterisk, 1.7 meters tall, a bit thin but still very beautiful. Besides, with a 90-centimeter measurement, asterisk. Suddenly, Ao So met his direct stare. Flustered by his intensity, the beautiful young woman quickly lowered her head. Just then, Lam Gu returned with food. Ha! The total is 177 yuan, Han Thang replied generously. No problem, as long as you girls like it. Lam Nugu set the tray down and got straight to the point. All right, spill it. Why did you really want to see me? Han Thang answered calmly. It's a small thing, really. I want to give the class president position to you. His words left both girls completely stunned. You want to give the position to me? Are you insane? Lam Nug's eyes widened in disbelief. Han Thang remained perfectly calm. I'm sane. But first, tell me why you wanted the position so badly. Lam Nug answered without hesitation. To serve the class, of course. But Han Thang saw right through the obvious lie. He raised an eyebrow. Come on, can you please drop the empty pleasantries? I want the truth. Pierced by his sharp gaze, Lam Gu finally confessed. Actually, I want to be a civil servant later on. This experience would help a lot. A small smirk played on Han Thang's lips. Asterisk. Just as I suspected. Asterisk, he mused. Asterisk, so that's why she's so ambitious. Asterisk, Lam Gu quickly countered. And what about you? Don't think I don't know you have your own scheme. Han Thang just shrugged and replied nonchalantly. I only want to make money. At his answer, Lam Gu was baffled. Make money? What on earth does business have to do with being class president? Han Thang slowly explained, with the status of class president, many things simply become much easier for me to do, and others' trust in me will increase. Lam Gu scoffed. So, the class president title is just a tool to you? Aren't you the same? Lam Nungu retorted. At least I'm willing to work for the class. If you only want money, why offer the presidency to me? Han Thang shrugged. By sophomore year, this position will be useless to me. That's when you can take it. If I still need this position after a year, it would simply mean I've failed, so I've decided to pass it on. As they argued, they missed someone reaching her limit. Ow. So finally spoke, I'm full. I'd like to head back. Sit. Han Thang's voice was firm. Startled, Oh-So immediately dropped back into her seat. Lam Gu was furious. Why would you yell at her like that? A bowl of carefully peeled shrimp was pushed in front of Oh-So. Han Thang looked at her, his tone leaving no room for refusal. I bought this for you, so you will eat it. Oh-So blushed, flustered. That's not necessary. Why? Do you hate me? Han Thang raised an eyebrow. No, the bun is fine, Oh-So mumbled quietly. This sweet moment between them irked Lam Nu, her mind instantly conjuring all sorts of scenarios. Suddenly, Han Thang took Oh-So's hand, lifting it to his mouth and taking a small bite of the bun she held. Is it that good? Let me see. The taste is actually quite ordinary. Oh-So's face flushed with shame, while Lam Gu finally snapped, shouting, You're such a hooligan. Han Thang frowned, his tone displeased. What kind of way is that to talk? We're discussing a partnership here. Lam Gu crossed her arms, replying coolly, This has nothing to do with me. You're the same rogue you've always been. Han Thang glanced at Oh-So, then said slowly, I always thought Thuong Nien Nien was the prettiest in our class, but I realize now it was someone else. Lam Nu let out a laugh. Well, you do have a good eye. But she's quite timid, so you should keep it quiet before you attract a swarm of flies. Han Thang remained impassive, completely unconcerned. But when you mention perverts, could you perhaps not stare right at me? All men are the same. You know this best. Lam Gu shrugged. Han Thang thought to himself, asterisk. Befriending Lam Gu was definitely the right move. Asterisk. Before pursuing a girl, you first have to know how to handle her best friend. After a moment, Han Thang returned to business. In our second year, I'll give you the class president position. It won't affect your civil service exam plans. What do you think? Lam Gu frowned. How can you guarantee I'll be the one to take over? Han Thang explained with a smile. Of course, there's a way. You can serve as the branch party secretary. Just take charge of all the class duties and build a good reputation with the students and teacher Quach. Come sophomore year, I'll resign, and you'll be the natural successor. Plus, being secretary helps you join the party early, which is a huge advantage for the exam. Lam Nugu stared at him and sneered. So basically, you want me to do all the work while you sit back and take the credit? Is that it? So in the end, I just work under you? Han Thang stayed calm, his voice persuasive. The achievements belong to everyone. It's my credit now, but it'll be yours later. It all comes to you. Lam Nu narrowed her eyes. So what's a big matter, and what's a small one? Han Thang laughed. You handle the small things, and I'll step in for the big ones. Deal? Lam Gu was still hesitating. And if I refuse? Han Thang shrugged casually. Then it's a bit more work for me, but you will get absolutely no opportunity. Remember, changing the class president in university isn't a simple matter. I can help arrange the branch secretary position for you. Whether you accept or not is entirely your choice. Lam Nu gritted her teeth, fully aware she was walking right into his trap. Finally, she snapped, Tran Han Thang, you better not be deceiving me. Han Thang smiled with confidence. How could I possibly deceive you? I am always sincere with you. Lam Gu stormed off, leaving a stunned Also behind. Han Thang let out a relieved sigh, feeling triumphant. Asterisk. Finally, that's settled. Asterisk. At a pub, Han Thang and his high school friends celebrated the end of their military training. Here's to the successful team building at Tuyen Nin University. Cao Jia Luong, a friend in the group, paid special attention to Dong Nu. We're not far from each other anymore. We should hang out often, especially you. Dong Nu, you have to eat more after the training, she replied indifferently. I'll get it myself. In a corner, Tubok looked miserable. Seeing him, Han Thang raised an eyebrow. Who's that long face for? You have no idea how good you have it, do you? Tubok sighed. My class has 62 people, but only 2 are girls. It feels like I've been drafted. He took a swig of beer and moaned. If I'd known, I would have applied to the finance academy with you. Han Thang's curiosity was piqued by Tubok's classmates, so he casually asked, Are any of them single? Tubok didn't answer, simply finishing his drink in silence. Beside them, Jia Luong spoke up, his tone preachy, clearly trying to impress Dong Nung. Tubok, we shouldn't discuss such things. We're in college to study, not for foolish distractions. After speaking, Jia Luong turned to Han Thang, not forgetting to correct his posture. Han Thang, can you please sit properly? Propping your leg up like that is inconsiderate of Dong Ngu. At that, Han Thang frowned, thinking to himself that this Jia Luong guy was a real busybody, always spouting nonsense. Not bothering to argue, he nonchalantly brushed Dong Ngungu's shoulder, knowing she'd misunderstand, but seeing it as a chance to flirt. Move it, I'm just getting a toothpick. Dong Ju frowned, while Jia Luong immediately snapped. What a hooligan. Unlike Jia Luong, Tubok seemed to admire Han Thang's rebellious spirit. To break the awkward tension, Dong Ninggu smiled and proposed, It's rare for us all to get together like this. How about we talk about our recent accomplishments? Jia Luong shot Han Thang a look, taking another opportunity to mock him. Since we're guests here, let's have our host speak first, he sneered. Ignoring the jab, Han Thang calmly lit a cigarette. Taking a drag, he smirked. I'm the class president now. The whole group was stunned. Jia Luong's face filled with disbelief as he scoffed. Tran Han Thang, what can you do besides flirt, fight, and smoke? Who would ever choose you? Despite his scorn, Jia Luong quickly changed the subject to save face. He began talking about his university dorms, adding that the campus scenery wasn't bad either. The dorms only have one cafeteria so far, but I heard the owner once worked at a Michelin star restaurant. As he finished, everyone looked impressed. Han Thang chuckled inwardly. These kids are so naive, it's almost cute. He shook his head and retorted, Cao Jia Luong, what about you? Just as Jia Luong was about to boast, a voice cut him off. Class President Tran Han Thang, so you were here. Everyone turned. The speaker was Lam Nugu. She approached and said seriously, After the opening ceremony, the class needs to organize activities. As president, you need to decide how much to collect for class funds. The group was floored. He really was the class president. Facing their doubtful gazes, Han Thang simply replied, According to the standard, everyone pays 50 yuan. Lam Nu looked worried, her brow furrowed. Isn't 50 yuan too much? Before she could overthink it, Han Thang coolly pulled out cash and set it before her. Her eyes widened in shock as she stammered, I don't have enough money to pay you back right now. No need, Han Thang said flatly. I'm covering Shen Yu Chu's part too. Lam Gu froze, and the rest of the group was just as astonished. Finally, Lam Ngu snatched the money from his hand, laughing. I hope President Tran isn't planning on embezzling class funds. Just then, Deng Ngu also spoke up. Little Tran, you're actually the class president? Jia Luong, standing nearby, still couldn't let it go. He continued his taunts. In college, the president is just a glorified servant. The student council is what really matters. Han Thang didn't bother to reply, simply smirking before saying calmly, When I get back, I plan on running for the student council too. Tubok leaned close to Han Thang, teasing in a low voice, I thought you were over Deng Nu, so you've gone from being obvious to being subtle? First class president, now the council? Is this all to get her attention? These words accidentally reached Deng Ngu, causing a slight misunderstanding. Later, the group walked to the bus station. As Han Thang was about to leave, a loud shout came from behind. Han Thang, turn around! He stopped, looking back to see Deng Ngu hesitating. A moment later, she gathered her courage and yelled, If you're willing to improve yourself for my sake, I'm really happy. Thank you, but you have to keep at it. This girl, if she couldn't say something quietly, she'd just shout for the world to hear. Han Thang stood frozen to the spot, feeling as if his whole body had been glued in place. Later, when he was alone, he wondered to himself, I'm clearly a bad boy, so why am I being treated like some devoted romantic? Standing before a building, Han Thang checked the information again. This was the Shen Tong Express Delivery Company. A quick observation revealed a lack of professionalism. No one wore uniforms, and the package handling procedures were vague and unclear. The scene before Han Thang was utter chaos, more like a disorderly street market than a proper business. To investigate, he skillfully approached a man, offering a cigarette as an excuse to ask for information. The man told him that Director Zhang was on the second floor. Han Thang went upstairs without hesitation. As he entered the room, a middle-aged man behind a desk looked up, his gaze sharp and scrutinizing. Who are you looking for? Han Thang met his gaze, presenting the recruitment flyer. I'm here about the part-time job listing. The director barely glanced at it, waving him away dismissively. Too late. Your university already has an agent. You'd just be working under them. The man looked up, annoyed that Han Thang hadn't moved. Didn't you hear me? Your school has its agent. Despite the hostility, Han Thang was eerily calm. Just one question. How do I replace them? The bold question made Director Trung look up, surprised. You want to take their spot? That sounds a little harsh, Han Thang smirked. I'm just in it for the money. The man studied him for the first time, sizing him up. After a moment, he frowned. You dress well. Your family must have money. Why bother with a part-time job? Han Thang offered him a cigarette, smoothly changing the topic. It's just a job. Why the deep questions? This isn't a top-secret agency. You don't need my entire family history, do you? Director Trung chuckled, accepting the cigarette, but his stance was firm. You want the agency, but it's not my call. Han Thang lit it for him, waiting silently. The director took a long drag, then finally spoke. The current agent at the Finance Academy does good work. They move 60 packages a day. I see no reason for a change. Seeing Han Thang's silence, the director watched him closely and added, However, it's not impossible. Maintain 100 packages a day, and I'll reconsider. A slight smile touched Han Thang's lips. He finally had a clear target. Before leaving, he asked, Do you have a business card? Director Trung handed one over. Watching the young man's determined back, he muttered to himself. Interesting kid. Card in hand, Han Thang left the courier company, his mind already racing with calculations. To win the agency rights, he needed a powerful network and widespread support. That meant connecting with campus shops and getting to know freshmen from other academies. And the fastest way to build those connections was through the student council. Even if it meant grunt work, the council's advantages were undeniable. It linked both students and businesses. With his plan set, Han Thang looked up. Before him stood the External Relations Department headquarters. As he stepped inside, a familiar voice called out, Class President Chen, you're here too? Joining the student council. Class President? Han Thang chuckled, replying casually, Of course. For our class's future, Financial Management Class 2 needs an inside agent in the council. Hearing this, his friend pulled her companion from the line. We'll try another department. No need for classmates to compete. Just then, Han Thang offered to buy everyone breakfast, adding a word of encouragement. Good luck. Aim for the vice president's spot. Suddenly, a young man in a white shirt appeared. He shot Han Thang a contemptuous look before turning away. Moments later, Han Thang entered the interview and saw the very same guy. Senior, allow me to introduce myself. But Han Thang was cut off coldly. No need. We're only recruiting women. You're not qualified. The words angered Han Thang, while the girl beside him looked stunned. What? Since when was that a rule? The interviewer feigned apology, but his tone was final. Apologies. Our department deals with merchants and securing sponsors. I believe women have the advantage here. You can leave. Don't waste our time. The other students were just as confused, but Han Thang was furious. Who the hell do you think you are? You're just a minor officer, acting all high and mighty with that little bit of power. The direct insult stunned the vice president. No one had ever dared speak to him like that. But some of the girls nearby were impressed, thinking Han Thang was incredibly cool. Just then, Zhou Xiao slammed the table. Freshmen have no discipline these days. As tensions flared, a girl stepped forward to mediate. Please, calm down. I'm Shi Wei, from the External Relations Department. If there's a misunderstanding, we can talk, Han Thang said, his voice calm. I am perfectly calm. I just have a few words for Minister Zhou. He then faced Zhou Xiao with a cold smirk. I could accept other conditions, but what does gender have to do with anything? Does the student council discriminate against men now? Zhou Xiao stammered. The PR department needs social skills, so girls obviously have an advantage. Han Thang cut him off sharply. Nonsense. Completing the mission is what's important, not gender. If you prefer recruiting girls, why is this guy still shamelessly here? Yeah, tell him to get the hell out, another voice interjected. It was the vice president of the student council, Zuo Zhaoli. Student, if you continue to cause a disturbance, I'll have no choice but to call security. Hearing this, Han Thang merely shrugged and replied casually, Go on then, call them. Zuo Xiaoli was speechless. This was the first time anyone had dared to defy his authority. A flash of anger crossed his face as he gritted his teeth. What class are you in? Who is your advisor? Han Thang answered with confidence. I am class president Tran Han Thang of Class 2, Public Finance Management. My advisor is Guo Zhongyun. Would you like me to provide his phone number as well? Cold sweat dripped down Zuo Xiaoli's back. He was in disbelief. A freshman with such a powerful aura? Not only was he fearless, he was a class president, truly a rare find. Just then, enthusiastic cheers erupted from outside. It turned out Han Thang's friend had called Shi Chao's group for backup. He Ping quickly stepped in to de-escalate. Let's not fight. Student, how about we do this? You've already passed the first round of interviews. For now, go back and wait for our notice about the second round. He Ping's words eased the tension slightly, but Zhou Xiao refused to back down. You want me to withdraw from the PR department? Should a vice minister really have to give his position to a freshman like you? Han Thang didn't even flinch, immediately shooting back. And what if I do become one? Is there a rule that says a freshman can't be a vice minister? Shi Chao and Zhu Chenglong stirred the pot from the side, making the atmosphere even more tense. At that moment, Zuo Xiaoli spoke slowly. Student, vice minister isn't just a title. That person must be able to secure sponsorships for the student council. Can you guarantee that you'll find sponsors for every event? Without a moment's hesitation, Han Thang retorted, Can Minister Zhou do it? This time, the answer came from Zuo Xiaoli. Of course he can. Han Thang smiled with absolute confidence. Then I can do it too. His words left Zuo Xiaoli stunned, while Shi Chao's group cheered wildly, pushing the tension to its peak. Finally, Zuo Xiaoli made a proposition. Fine. Our department is organizing a welcome party for new students and we need funding. If student Tran Han Thang believes he can do better than Zhou Xiao, then let's compete. Whoever brings in more sponsorship money wins. Zhu Chenglong immediately voiced his dissatisfaction. Isn't this proposal blatantly unfair to Zhou Xiao? Zuo Xiaoli answered coldly. Are you scared? Han Thang simply asked. What if I win? Zhou Xiao scoffed in response. If you win, I'll give you my position as vice minister. Han Thang didn't hesitate. Deal. There are plenty of witnesses here. I expect you to keep your word. The rules were simple. Each of them would be randomly assigned a shop. Whoever raised more money from their sponsor would be the winner. Zuo Xiaoli asked dismissively, Do either of you have an issue with this? Han Thang sensed something fishy about the word randomly, but he accepted the challenge anyway. The vice minister position was more important than anything. The assignments were given out quickly. Zhou Xiao would head to the barber shop across the street. Tran Han Thang, you go to the toy store on the right. Upon hearing this, Zhou Xiao smirked and gave him a provocative look. Watch and learn. I'll go first. Shi Chao, standing nearby, was worried. That barber shop had been in business for years and was always happy to sponsor student events. In contrast, the toy shop assigned to Han Thang had just opened. The owner probably needed financial aid himself. This was clearly unfair, yet Han Thang remained completely confident in his abilities. Before long, Zhou Xiao returned with 200 yuan in sponsorship, plus a 500 yuan voucher for haircuts. Now, it was Han Thang's turn. At that moment, Shi Wei stepped forward, offering to help the new student. She said, "You're a freshman, right? I'll pave the way for you, but the rest will depend on you." Qi Wei then led the group to a toy store. The store owner seemed annoyed to see the group of students, but Shi Wei remained calm and explained that their department was organizing a welcome party and hoped he would sponsor them. Hearing this, the owner slammed his debt book on the table, his voice full of frustration. "It's not that I don't support you, but I have a mountain of debts I haven't collected. Where am I supposed to get the money to sponsor you?" While others were annoyed by the owner's attitude, Han Thang seemed to understand. The owner went on, "I'll say it again, you university students have guts. If you can actually collect that debt for me, I'll use the entire amount for sponsorship." The others saw it as an impossible mission, but in stark contrast, Han Thang just smirked with confidence. "All right then, leave the debt collection to me." The owner stared at Han Thang for a moment, then nodded. "If you manage to collect it, I'll give you every last cent for the fee." Then, he pointed to the debtor, a menacing, scar-faced man who owned the fruit stand across the street. The students hesitated, and while Zhou Xiao boasted he'd win, Han Thang had a completely different strategy. He took the IOU slip and said calmly, "I'll borrow this. I will get your money back for you." Meanwhile, at the fruit stand, the owner decisively split a watermelon with a single, swift chop. The sight only intensified the pressure on the students. Shi Chao asked nervously, "Do we really have to do this? Maybe we should just forget it." Cheng Long added, "Besides, that guy looks like he's part of the underworld. This won't be easy." But just then, the class president's taunt reignited their fighting spirit. The three of them decided to storm the fruit stand. The shop owner saw them and laughed heartily. "What can I get for you handsome fellas?" Standing in the doorway, Han Thang coolly replied, "I'm not here for fruit. I'm here to collect money." At his words, the owner split another watermelon, startling Shi Chao and Cheng Long. But Han Thang remained unfazed. He picked up a slice, took a bite, and said slowly, "Uncle, I'm here on behalf of Feng Jihua from the toy shop. I was told you still owe him 3,500 yuan. The fruit stand owner looked surprised. "Since when did Jihua have a nephew your age? That's news to me." Han Thang's tone hardened. "Stop playing games and let's get to the point. What about the 3,500 yuan? The owner just sneered. "Listen here, kid. I don't owe your uncle 3,500 yuan, but Han Thang didn't even flinch. "That's not my concern. He gave me the number, and my job is just to collect the debt. If you don't pay the 3,500, my friends here will start moving your fruit until the debt is covered." The owner instantly exploded with rage. "That damn Feng Jihua. He clearly owes 2,500 but had the nerve to say 3,500, then sends you students to ruin my business." Fuming, he stomped inside, grabbed the IOU note, and shoved it right in Han Thang's face. "Take a good look. It says right here, clear as day, 2,500 yuan. Your shameless uncle is playing you for a fool." Seeing the owner had fallen for the trap, Han Thang smirked, taking the paper while feigning a sudden realization. "Oh, it really is 2,500 yuan. I must have misheard him earlier. In fact, he did state the amount was 2,500, and now we have both a witness and the proof. So, it's time for you to pay up." The owner was furious, realizing he'd been tricked, but the pressure was still on. "And what if I don't pay?" he challenged. Just then, a police officer appeared at the entrance. "Why is there such a large crowd gathering here?" The officer called the owner over and gave him a stern warning. "We received a complaint about a disorderly gathering. Cause any more trouble, and you'll find it hard to keep this shop open." With no other choice, the owner reluctantly nodded. All right. I promise there won't be any more problems. Everyone, please disperse." In the end, worried for his shop, the owner resentfully paid the 2,500 yuan. The moment the money was exchanged, the toy shop owner was absolutely ecstatic. But in the very next second, Han Thang suddenly placed his hand over the stack of cash. The owner frowned. "Student, what is the meaning of this?" Han Thang calmly replied, "Nothing much. Just reminding you, Mr. Feng, this was my win." Mr. Feng's eyes widened in disbelief. This was outrageous. Taking 500 yuan as a reward was one thing, but taking all of it? Han Thang simply shrugged, replying nonchalantly, "Have you forgotten already, Mr. Feng? You're the one who said that whoever collects the money gets to keep the entire amount." Speechless, the owner could only watch as Han Thang walked away with the 2,500 yuan. Han Thang then found department head Zhou and said, "Looks like we secured 500 yuan in sponsorship. So, I'll put in 501 yuan to sponsor the new students." Department head Zhou was conflicted, but a rule was a rule, so she accepted the money. The incident earned Han Thang immense praise from his friends. On the other hand, Zhou Xiao's feelings were the complete opposite. Xiao Qiang gloated, "I thought he said he'd give up the vice president position. Why the cowardice now?" Han Thang scoffed, "Forget it. He won't give it up." Back in Han Thang's dorm room, everyone was enjoying a game of cards when Xiao Qiang suddenly appeared with a grave look on his face. "This is bad. That bastard Zhu Chenglong just beat up Zhou Xiao." Shi Chao was still in shock. "Where are they now?" Xiao Qiang replied instantly, "They're in Zhou Xiao's dorm room." By now, Xiao Hio's room was swarming with students, hungry for gossip. Han Thang grew worried, fearing they would disturb the two instructors. But his fear quickly became reality. Both Professor Quach and Xiao Hio's advisor had already arrived. Inside, Chu Thonlong's face was battered and bruised, while Xiao Hio had nothing more than a faint scratch on his cheek. Professor Quach locked eyes with Han Thang. "I was just looking for you. I don't care about this afternoon, but what do you know about tonight's incident?" Han Thang's mind raced, instantly dissecting the situation. Xiao Hio was clearly trying to frame him by provoking Chu Thonlong. Denying it now would clear his own name, but Thonlong would have to bear the full responsibility, perhaps even face expulsion. Even a lesser punishment meant a permanent black mark on his record. More importantly, the reputation he had carefully built all semester could shatter in a single moment. After a tense silence, Han Thang replied calmly, "Sir, I know." Instantly, Professor Quach's face turned grim. "Chen Han Thang, you are the class president, yet you're involved in a brawl like this? You will write a deep self-criticism report tonight." Professor Quach continued, "You will all write reports, and then you will apologize to Xiao Hio. After the department reviews the situation, we will deliver the final punishment." Han Thang nodded in acceptance and said, "I apologize, Senior Xiao Hio. We acted foolishly today. We now understand our mistake and hope you can forgive us." Just then, the doctor stepped in, his eyes scanning the room. "Whoever is injured, let me take a look." After examining Xiao Hio's scratch, he declared it was nothing to worry about and didn't even require anti-inflammatory medicine. Professor Quach addressed the crowd and ordered them to disperse. "All right, it's over. Everyone return to your dorms and get some rest." After everyone had left, Han Thang turned to Thonlong and said, "You should head back first." And then there were two. Han Thang, the victor, and Xiao Hio, the loser. Xiao Hio stared at Han Thang, his voice deceptively calm but laced with venom. "You don't need to fake your kindness." Han Thang didn't react, simply picking up a book and returning it to the shelf. A cold smirk played on his lips. "If you weren't a student, I wouldn't even glance your way if you died right in front of me. I hope that when you enter the real world, you don't pull pathetic stunts like this again." With that, Han Thang turned and strode from the room. Outside, Thonlong's group was still waiting. Thonlong stepped forward, his voice heavy with guilt. "Han Thang, I truly didn't want things to end up this way." But before he could finish, Han Thang's leg shot out, delivering a sharp kick to Thonlong's shin that sent him stumbling to the ground. Duong Bin rushed to help his friend. "Are you all right?" Thonlong managed a weak smile, waving him off. "I'm fine. I deserved that kick. I actually think this is a good thing. If Brother Chen kicked me, it means he has already forgiven me." Along a quiet, late-night path, the two instructors were in conversation. One of them chuckled. "So you figured it out too." The other, Xiao Hio's advisor, nodded. "Was there any doubt? Your class president is obviously covering for someone else. I also heard about what happened at the student council this afternoon. Your student is incredibly petty, and mine is far too stubborn." Professor Quach's friend spoke slowly. "Xiao Hio is intelligent, but his mindset is twisted. Making a scene like this only causes others to lose respect. He is no longer suitable for the vice minister position." Professor Quach nodded in agreement, and the two began to discuss the self-criticism reports. Inside room 602, Than Long hung his head, his voice filled with remorse. Fourth brother, I'm truly sorry. I get reckless when I drink, and this time I made you take the fall. Chao and Thieu Kwang wanted to apologize for me as well. In the next moment, a cigarette was held out to him. Than Long accepted it as Han Thang said calmly, this brawl wasn't entirely a bad thing. There's no way Chao Hyo can keep his vice president position now. The following day, a voice echoed in the External Relations office. Tran Han Thang, are you prepared to assume the role of vice minister? Han Thang replied with composure. There is no need for further thought. Thank you for the organization's trust. I will certainly not disappoint the leaders who considered me. Another person spoke. Recent events have harmed the student council's reputation. Chao Hyo has already tendered his resignation, and by unanimous decision, you will assume his position after the National Day holiday. Han Thang simply nodded. At that, Chao Hyo stood to leave, but not before firing one last parting shot. Hu Tu Bin, Mu Van Lin. I saw what happened at the Yiwu Mall myself. This guy is nothing but a scoundrel. You will definitely regret this later. Paying Chao Hyo no mind, Han Thang turned to the two leaders. Is there anything else? Hearing there was nothing more, Han Thang immediately left, clearing the tense atmosphere. I thought he would at least say thank you, but in the end, not a single word. Van Lin let out a sigh and said, Chao Wei Bao, I fully support Chen Han Thang for deputy head, but I wonder if anyone can actually keep him in check. Time flew by, and soon it was National Day, October 1st. I told you your dad didn't need to pick us up. We took the bus last night and got home this morning, someone complained. Rong Yu stretched and said, if you don't want the ride, the bus is still an option. Just then, a 7-seater with a gangcheng plate slowly pulled over. It seems that's Uncle Xiao's car. You should act more mature. Don't forget your gentlemanly manners. We're all university students now. Uncle Xiao opened the door, motioning for everyone to get in. The luggage was stored in the back. Rong Yu and Zibo quickly grabbed their seats. Jia Liang thought he could finally sit next to Rong Yu, but suddenly, Han Thang pulled him back. Let me go first. I want the very back row. Jia Liang, suspecting nothing, happily moved aside. Okay, you go ahead. But as Han Thang boarded, he swiftly took the seat next to Rong Yu, leaving Jia Liang stunned. Chen Han Thang, you said you wanted the back row. Han Thang casually replied, I changed my mind. Now hurry up. Meanwhile, Rong Yu's father thought to himself, how could a good man like Chen Zhaojun have such a mischievous son? In the car, Jia Liang tried to start a conversation with Rong Yu. After military training ended, did you join any clubs? Rong Yu shook her head. Not yet. Some upperclassmen came by to promote so many clubs, I'm still feeling conflicted. What about you? Jia Liang brushed his hair back proudly. Right before the break, I passed the first round for the propaganda department. I have the second interview when we get back. It shouldn't be a problem. At that moment, Zibo chimed in. That's impressive. I interviewed for the organization department but got cut in the first round. I didn't even make it to the second. Rong Yu laughed. Are you all joining the student council? I haven't even decided if I should join. Then she turned to Han Thang. Little Chen, how about you? Han Thang answered calmly. I'm the deputy head of the External Relations Department now. His statement made Jia Liang's eyes widen. Han Thang, did being class monitor make you that cocky? Get real. If you're a deputy head, I'll clean every toilet in the stadium. Though Jia Liang didn't believe him, Uncle Xiao had a different idea. With his years of police experience, he was sure the boy was telling the truth. Jia Liang was still in disbelief. A freshman as a deputy head? That's nearly impossible. Who would put a new student in such a position? Do they think he's some kind of world-saving hero? Han Thang didn't argue, simply stating, I don't waste time talking to freeloaders. The car stopped, and Uncle Xiao turned around. I have an urgent task at the station, so I can only drop you all here. It's not a long walk home from this point. Uncle Xiao left, leaving the four of them behind. Jia Liang, trying to be a gentleman, offered to Rong Yu, let me help you with your things. However, Rong Yu shook her head. It's not on your way. It makes more sense for Han Thang to help. Jia Liang hesitated. Maybe it is on my way. Zibo quickly dragged Jia Liang away, giving the other two some space. Han Thang found the situation troublesome. If he'd known this would happen, he would have gone home yesterday. This was all Wang Zibo's fault, dragging things out over a 100 yuan bus fare. At the same time, Rong Yu was enjoying a stick of tanghulu. She turned and asked Han Thang, do you want one? Han Thang firmly refused. No. But seeing Rong Yu's pout, he quickly changed his mind. Under the setting sun, the pair shared the sweet candied fruit. However, that warm moment was shattered by the arrival of Han Thang's father. Later, at a bar, Han Thang and Zibo were enjoying their downtime. Little Chen never imagined a place like this even existed in Gangcheng. Han Thang leaned back and relaxed. We're on a break, might as well enjoy it. Meanwhile, Zibo was mesmerized by some girls walking upstairs. He suddenly turned to ask, "Your dad saw Rong Yu feeding you Tang Hulu yesterday. He didn't say anything?" Han Thang replied while playing pool. "He knows Captain Xiao. What could he say? It's not a big deal." Just then, the two girls from before appeared. Zibo stared at them, asking innocently, "Aren't they cold in this weather?" Han Thang laughed. "What do you know? That's called beauty that defies the weather." One of the girls approached them with a smile. "Hey, handsome, care to buy me a drink?" Han Thang casually pointed towards Zibo. "The Virgin is sitting right over there. Try your luck with him." The girl teased. "I heard you've never dated before. How pure." Zibo blushed in embarrassment while Han Thang just smirked. A short while later, they left the bar. "Leaving already? It's only 10. Han Thang was unbothered. "Or should we stay here for New Year's?" But as he stepped outside, Han Thang suddenly froze. Right before their eyes stood Dongnu and her friend. Tu Bok panicked. "Go now! I'll hold them off for you." But it was too late. A pang of guilt hit Han Thang. Though they weren't really together, he forced a weak smile to break the tension. "Party's over already?" "To Dongnu, isn't your home the other way?" Dongnu's brow furrowed, her voice sharp with anger. "Didn't you say you were visiting your grandparents tonight?" Han Thang was flustered. Just then, Donggu's friend spoke up. "Chen Han Thang, little Noonhee was just saying she could accept you, but not anymore." With that, she set a drink on the ground, turned, and ran, letting the cold air wash away her disappointment. Her friend turned back, her eyes filled with scorn. "Chen Han Thang, you're truly worthless." Han Thang remained silent. The shop had just released a delicious new fruit drink yesterday. Deng Engu specifically bought it to bring to you, yet you were hiding from her in a place like this. The scolding echoed in his ears, but Han Thang felt he'd done nothing wrong. Still, an undeniable guilt began to fester inside him. Tu Bok spoke sadly to Tu Chen. "It seems you finally won Tu Donggu over, only to lose her just as fast." Like a full glass of water, spilled onto the ground. That night, Han Thang called Deng Ngu's home. Her father answered. "Hello, this is Tu Hongvi." "Hello, Uncle Tu. This is Chen Han Thang. I'd like to speak with Deng Ninggu for a moment." The voice on the other end replied. "Han Thang, little Nguni is already resting. Call back tomorrow." The next morning, another call to Uncle Tu's house. "Good morning, Uncle Chu. It's Chen Han Thang. Could you please let Tu Deng Nunggu take the call?" But the result was the same. "Deng Nunggu has gone out." "Sorry, my boy." Again and again, every call from Han Thang asking for Deng No received the same reply. "Deng No isn't home yet. Try again tonight." In reality, she was sitting on the sofa the whole time. "It's all right, sir. Then please pass a message to her for me. Tell her I'm returning to school today." Uncle Tu nodded, then relayed the message to his daughter. "He's going back to school today." Deng Ngu remained silent, her eyes clouded with sorrow. "Why did you two fight?" Uncle Tu asked, but Deng Ngu didn't answer. "Your mother will be home soon. If she sees you like this, she will definitely demand answers. Go wash your face." As she entered the bathroom, she heard her father's voice from behind her. "Nguni, are you and Chen Han Thang dating?" She denied it instantly. "No. Not before, not now, and certainly not ever." Meanwhile, at Han Thang's house, he was preparing to say goodbye to his family and return to school. His mother sighed sadly. "Why is my fate so bitter? Marrying into the Chen family, I've never had a single good day. After all the trouble raising my son, he turns out so thoughtless." Han Thang replied, "Mom, I'm the class president now. My time isn't my own anymore. I'm not as free as I used to be." His mother offered him some money. "Here, take this." Han Thang refused. "I'm not short on money right now." She was surprised. "Not short on money? It's been a month since school started. How can you not be?" He smiled. "I earned 2,500 yuan elsewhere, so I'm really not short on cash." Before leaving, he told his parents, "Mom, I'm heading out. Dad, Mom, take care of yourselves at home. If anything happens, just argue. Just don't get into a fight." Han Thang's mother watched her son leave, then turned to her husband sadly. "Old Chen, are we getting old? Why do you say that?" I feel like Han Thang doesn't need us anymore. He doesn't call, he doesn't share anything. He has his own world now. Han Thang's father comforted his wife. Isn't that a good thing? We can worry a little less now. Is that okay? I still want to take care of him. That brat. Do you have any colleagues with a suitable daughter? After he graduates, let's just marry him off. At that moment, an image of his son and Dongnu flashed in his father's mind. He replied softly, Perhaps I do. In the pouring rain, Han Thang rushed back to his dormitory. He thought to himself, rain right after getting back to school. What bad luck. But as he passed the library, he suddenly froze. Why is she here? Ao So had also just seen Han Thang. She froze, her face blushing crimson as memories of their last meeting flooded back. She was about to turn and leave when Han Thang's voice called out, Stop! I'm not going to eat you. Why do you always run when you see me? Ao So stammered, her voice a whisper. I wasn't. Han Thang chuckled at her awkwardness and then suggested, I don't want to eat alone tonight. Come with me. You don't want to? We're classmates. We should help each other out. I'm in a bad mood today, so you can treat me. Oso looked down, hesitated for a moment, then replied, So, what do you want to eat? Han Thang thought for a moment. Cafeteria number 2 has that new hot pot. Let's get that. How much is it? 50 yuan. Hearing this, Oso hesitated for a moment, then said, Can I go back to my dorm for a second? In the pouring rain, Oso turned and left. A moment later, she returned, but this time, without her umbrella. Seeing her drenched, Han Thang asked in surprise, Where's your umbrella? My roommate needed to go to the mall, so I lent it to her. Then what about you? Oso offered a faint smile. I'm just staying on campus. It's fine. Han Thang stared at her, unsure if she was naive or just kind. They huddled under one umbrella on their way to the diner. Han Thang ordered 2 mutton dishes and 4 portions of shrimp, totaling 53 yuan. He paid the staff, then turned to look at Ao So. She took out her money, but her hesitation was plain to see. Han Thang frowned. You went back to your dorm just to get money, didn't you? Oh So nodded, and a pang of guilt suddenly struck Han Thang. As they ate, Han Thang chewed on a shrimp and asked, Aren't you hungry? Ao So lowered her head, barely touching her food. Seeing this, Han Thang finally understood. He chuckled softly. This hot pot used up all your living expenses, didn't it? Ao So answered honestly. I have 100 yuan left. I also earn money from organizing bookshelves at the library, and I can work at the cafeteria to save on food costs. Han Thang teased. So, do you blame me for eating all your money? Ao So fell silent. Seeing her endearing expression, Han Thang suddenly blurted out, How about you become my girlfriend? The chopsticks slipped from Ao So's grasp, clattering to the floor. She stared at Han Thang, her eyes welling up with tears. I only ate 1 plate of vegetables. Can you please not force me to date you? Startled, Han Thang immediately tried to soothe her. All right, no dating then. I'm a reasonable person. I've never forced anyone to do anything. But his words reminded her of Lam Nogu's warning, unsettling her even more. I'm full. I'll head back first. Watching her retreat, Han Thang frowned slightly. He stood up with his bag and said, Cafeteria number 2 is close to the men's dorm. I'll leave the umbrella for you there. Oh, and remember to clear the table. Ah So watched him leave, but then her eyes caught a stack of cash on the table. She called his name in shock, but realized seconds later he had left it on purpose. That evening, Han Thang visited his mentor. Professor Guo, I brought 2 specialty geese from my hometown for you and your wife to try. Professor Guo smiled warmly. How very thoughtful of you. You treated Gi Tue last time, so please let us treat you tonight. Hearing this, little Gi Tue ran over excitedly and hugged Han Thang. Brother, you're finally here. Han Thang smiled, ruffling the little girl's hair. Yes, I came to see you, Gi Tue proudly announced. Brother, I got Miss Xiao Yu's phone number. Professor Guo looked surprised, but Han Thang just laughed. You actually remembered? I'll have to get you a thank you gift next time. Joy flickered in Han Thang's eyes as he fondly patted the girl's head. Good girl. Tell me the number after dinner. Okay, she replied obediently. Just then, the professor's wife called out, Come on, it's time to eat. After the meal, Han Thang was leaving when the professor suddenly stopped him. Right. There's a student in my class named Shen Ao. So, do you happen to know her? Han Thang was momentarily stunned by the unexpected question. Professor Guo explained slowly, his voice laced with concern. Her family's financial situation is not very good. Before the holiday, Hu Lam Negu tried to get her a scholarship for students in need, but she was unsuccessful. The application is stuck with the Youth League office. If you have the chance, please help her a little. Han Thang's expression grew thoughtful as he processed the information. Seeing his look, the professor asked, "Is something wrong?" "Not at all." "Well then, I'll be going now, Professor Guo." On October 8th, the holiday ended. The first class of the semester began in a sluggish atmosphere that hung over the entire room. Everyone felt drained, with absolutely no motivation for class. "Same here. I'm exhausted," Han Thang sighed, with a huge yawn. Just then, Lam Nugu appeared at the door, calling Han Thang outside. She handed him an envelope, heavy with a stack of bills inside. "What's this?" Han Thang frowned, confused by what was happening. "I gave this to Aoso before. Why do you have it now? Let's not play these games between us. We know each other well enough to see right through one another." "Pervert," she muttered, her face flushing. "Aoso asked me to return this to you. Did she open it?" "No, I did." Han Thang shrugged. "Then, let's drop it. What did you want?" Lam Nu's gaze hardened. "Let's be honest. With your abilities, you could get any girl you want. Toon Gi Et Nhan, Bach Vin Tien, or even your friend from high school. But do not harm Shen Aoso." Han Thang let out a bitter, incomprehensible laugh. "So me pursuing Shen Aoso is considered harmful now?" Lam Gu's composure finally cracked, her voice rising in pitch. "You gave her 500 yuan. Is that your idea of pursuit? That's just humiliating her. It's a good thing she didn't dare open it." Han Thang raised his hand, his expression as serious as if taking an oath before her. "All I ask is that you trust I won't harm her. If she refuses, I won't force her." Lam Gu was quiet for a long moment, before finally shaking her head and turning to walk away. "All the guys in class look up to you, and the girls trust you. It's time you acted like the leader you're supposed to be. Little Hu, you worry too much." Han Sheng lit a cigarette, a wry smile on his face as he exhaled a puff of smoke. "Secretary Hu, don't tell me you've never even been on a date? How about I introduce you to my roommate, Jin Yangming? He's a great talker, always willing to help people out." Hearing this, Lin Yu's cheeks turned a shade of crimson. "Pervert," was all she could manage before turning to storm off. But after a few steps, she stopped and looked back. "Is there something else?" The girls in class feel distant from the guys. Someone suggested a get-together to build some unity. "What do you think?" Han Sheng considered it for a moment, then nodded. The idea of seeing Yusuo more was appealing. "Not a bad idea. It'll help everyone connect, and it's a chance to get closer to Yusuo. The guys from room 602 might finally get girlfriends. Got any ideas? Just eating and singing? That's so outdated. Besides, if we only keep it within the dorm, we won't break up the existing cliques. We need a better way. So, what's your plan? Let me think about it and I'll get back to you." Just as Lin Yu was about to leave, Han Sheng stopped her. "We're done with that topic, but there's something else I need to ask you." His expression turned unusually serious. "Before the holiday, you applied for the Student Poverty Scholarship for Yusuo. It got stuck at the Youth League office. Why didn't you tell me?" Lin Yu flinched, her eyes darting away. "We made a deal," Han Sheng reminded her, his voice low and firm. "If you can't handle something, you bring it to me. Pride is fine, but you can't let your feelings delay something this important." Stung by his criticism, Lin Yu's own pride flared up. She shot back. "Who says I can't handle it? I was planning to go to the Youth League office after class anyway. Maybe this time will be different," Han Sheng suggested. "Then let's go together." Lin Yu agreed without a second thought. During class, she told Yusuo about the scholarship attempt. Teacher Guo already spoke with him about it. He wants to come with us to the office tomorrow afternoon. At the mention of Han Sheng, Yusuo froze, her gaze drifting to the door where he stood waiting. She quickly ducked her head down, her cheeks burning with shyness. That afternoon, the three of them went to the Youth League office. "Teacher Wu, sorry to bother you again." The man behind the desk was Wu Debing, the vice secretary. He frowned at the sound of Lin Yu's voice, clearly displeased. "Why are you here again? I already told you, reviewing these applications takes time. Besides, student Shen Yusuo's documents are incomplete. We still have to verify them with her local government office. So how much longer will it take?" Teacher Wu just shook his head, his patience wearing thin. "I can't say. It could be long, it could be fast. The school has to be thorough. If she's eligible, she'll get it. But I submitted everything before the break. You said you'd expedite it. Why are you suddenly so uncertain? The school has its rules, and the finance department has theirs. You need to be understanding." Teacher Wu said calmly, as if it were obvious. Lin Yu's patience finally snapped. She took a deep breath and raised her voice. Anyone can see that Yu Suo is eligible for this. Teacher Wu's indifferent attitude was the last straw, and Lin Yu's anger boiled over. She gritted her teeth, pointing straight at him. How can someone like you be worthy of being a teacher? Teacher Wu's eyebrow twitched. He opened a drawer, pulled out an official seal, and slammed it on the desk. If that's how you feel, then let's be direct. Here's the seal. Go ahead and approve it yourself. It was an unexpected provocation. Even more shocking, Lin Yu, not wanting to seem weak to Han Sheng, actually considered taking it. Lin Yu, don't do something stupid. In that critical moment, Han Sheng shot up from his seat and pulled her outside. He glanced back at Teacher Wu, his voice respectful. I'm sorry, sir. We lost our composure. We'll be back to apologize properly. With that, he dragged Lin Yu from the room. The three of them sat in heavy silence on the stairs, lost in their own thoughts. Lin Yu was still seething. Yu Suo clearly qualifies, so why won't that old man approve it? Why? Yu Suo lowered her head, her voice barely a whisper. Let's just stop. It's okay. At her words, Lin Yu broke down into tears. Then what are you going to do? Yu Suo forced a weak smile. I'll be okay. Amidst the heavy atmosphere, Han Sheng's voice cut through decisively. Give me Shen Yu Suo's documents. Lin Yu looked up, her eyes filled with doubt. Can you really do it? I'm not sure, Han Sheng admitted honestly. But if you had given this to me from the start, things might have been much easier. Lin Yu scoffed. It wouldn't have mattered. The problem was, the old professor refused to bend the rules. Han Thang offered no further explanation. He simply rose, straightened his clothes, and walked back into Mr. Vu's office. Secretary Vu, I am Tran Han Thang, class monitor of Class 2. The young woman from before is my classmate. She didn't understand the situation and acted rashly, so I hope you can overlook it. Mr. Vu fell silent for a long moment, then let out a low grunt. Han Thang's gaze swept over the bookshelf. He carefully picked up each fallen book, stacking them neatly. After that, he meticulously cleaned the floor, his every movement precise and deliberate. Once finished, he brewed a pot of hot tea for the professor's break. Mr. Vu watched him, his tone laced with sarcasm. Student, are you planning on making my dinner as well? With that, the professor turned and left. A short while later, Han Thang reappeared, carrying the faint scent of food. Why are you here again? Don't you have class? I have no classes this afternoon. Mr. Vu crossed his arms, nodding slowly.